There is a metal rod inside your water heater right now. It costs about $12, and that rod is the only thing standing between your tank and the scrap yard. Most people have never seen it. Most people do not know it exists, and most plumbers will not bring it up, not because they are hiding it, but because nobody asks. Here is the arithmetic nobody says out loud. A water heater that dies gets replaced for $1,500 to $2,500 installed. A water heater that gets a new rod every few years runs 15 years. Some run 20. Same tank, same water, same house. The difference is 1 part and 20 minutes on a Saturday. Today, I am going to show you what that rod is, why the manufacturer is quietly counting on you to ignore it, how to read a used one like a tradesman reads it, and how to swap it, including the one bolt that is going to fight you, and exactly how to win that fight. Put the numbers on the table first, because this one is bigger than most repairs in the house. A standard 40 or 50-gallon tank water heater installed in this country today runs $1,500 to $2,500 once you count the tank, the labor, the haul away, and the permit if your town wants one. That is one of the largest single repair bills a homeowner sees. Now, the manufacturers warranty most of these tanks for 6 years. Remember that number. The average tank in America actually dies somewhere between year 8 and year 12, right on schedule, just far enough past the warranty that it is your problem. But here is what the trade knows. The same tank, with its anode rod checked around year 3 and swapped when it is spent, routinely runs past 15 years. The rod costs between $12 and $30 at any hardware store. So over 20 years, the neglect route costs you 2 full tanks. Call it $3,000 to $4,000. The maintenance route costs you maybe 4 rods and a Saturday hour every few years. Call it $60. That is the gap we are closing today. Now I want you to understand why you can trust yourself with this one. Any plumber who has hauled a dead water heater up a basement stairwell knows exactly what killed it, because it is almost always the same thing: rust from the inside. Quiet, patient, invisible rust that started the day the protection ran out. The old hands in the trade know the rod trick cold. It is just not often asked for, because a rod swap is a small ticket and a tank replacement is a big one. There is no license needed for this job, no gas line work, no soldering, no electrical beyond flipping a breaker. It is 1 bolt on top of the tank and a piece of metal on a string, more or less. If you can change a tire, you can do this. What you need is the right socket, a little patience, and the knowledge of what you are looking at. That last part is what today is for. 7 steps, same as always. 1. What this rod is, why it is called Sacrificial, and the small, dirty secret about how tank warranties are designed around it. 2. The signs your rod is finished before you ever pick up a wrench, including how to read the manufacture date hidden in your serial number. 3. The check itself, pulling the rod and reading it like the trade reads it. 4. The swap, start to finish, plus 1 free adjustment while you are standing there that cuts your bill every month. 5. The stuck bolt, it will be stuck. I will show you how corrosion loses that fight. 6. The popping noise your tank makes that everyone ignores, and the completely free fix for it. And 7. How to tell when a tank is actually done so you do not put a fresh rod in a dead soldier, plus 1 piece of buying advice for that day that the sales floor will never volunteer. Let's get into it. Step 1. What this rod is. It is called a sacrificial anode rod, and the word sacrificial is doing honest work in that name. Here is the picture. Your water heater is a steel tank with a thin glass lining baked onto the inside. Glass sounds like good protection, and it is, until it cracks, and every glass lining cracks. Hairline fractures, from day one, from heat cycles, from the tank flexing as it fills and empties. Wherever there is a crack, water touches bare steel, and water plus steel plus time equals rust, no exceptions. That is just chemistry keeping its word. So the engineers did something clever. They screwed a rod of magnesium down into the tank, hanging in the water like a fish on a line. And here is the trick. Magnesium gives up its metal more eagerly than steel does. Corrosion is lazy. It takes the easy meal first. So all that hungry chemistry attacks the rod instead of your tank walls. The rod dissolves on purpose, year after year, sacrificing itself so the tank does not have to. It is the same idea ships have used for 100 years. Sacrificial plates bolted to steel hulls, eaten by the sea, so the hull is not. Now the part they do not print on the box, that rod lasts roughly 3 to 6 years in average water, and the standard warranty on a tank is 6 years. That is not a coincidence. A 6-year warranty is, in plain terms, the life of one rod. The manufacturer protects the tank for exactly as long as the protection they installed lasts, and the day the rod is gone, the clock on the tank itself starts ticking, conveniently outside the warranty window. Once that rod is eaten down to its steel core wire, the water goes back to the easy meal, which is now your tank, and a tank rusts from the inside out, silently, no drips, no warnings, until one morning there is a puddle spreading across the basement floor. One more thing while we are here. If you have a water softener, cut every timeline I give you nearly in half. Softened water is hungrier. It eats rods noticeably faster, and the trade sees softened water tanks die young constantly because nobody adjusted the schedule. Step 2. The signs before you touch a wrench. There are 5, and the first one is just the calendar. If your tank is past year 3 and the rod has never been checked, that alone is the sign. And I can hear the question, how old is my tank? There is a sticker on it with a serial number, and the date is hiding in there. Most brands bury it in the first few digits. Sometimes it reads plainly, like month and year. Sometimes it is coded, a letter for the month and digits for the year. Every brand does it a little differently, so if your serial number looks like a puzzle, type the brand name and the word serial number date into a search, and you will have your answer inside a minute. And then do the thing that sounds silly and is not. Take a marker and write that year on the front of the tank. Big numbers. Because 5 years from now, nobody remembers, the sticker fades, and that marker line becomes the cheapest piece of maintenance equipment in your whole house. Sign 2. The smell. If your hot water, only the hot, smells like rotten eggs, that is not your well going bad, and it is not your drains. That is the magnesium rod reacting with harmless sulfur bacteria that live in most water. Annoying but actually useful information. It tells you the rod is in there working, and it tells you exactly what to buy when you replace it. An aluminum zinc rod instead of magnesium. The zinc shuts that reaction down and the smell leaves with the old rod. Sign 3, tinted hot water. Run the cold tap into a white cup, clear. Run the hot into another, yellowish, brownish, rusty. Cold, clear, hot tinted means the rust is coming from inside the tank, and that means the rod stopped protecting it a while ago. Sign 4. Your hot water does not last like it used to, and the tank takes longer to recover after a couple of showers. That one usually points at sediment, which is step 6, but the two travel together. A neglected tank is neglected all over. And sign 5. popping, crackling, rumbling from the tank when it heats. Hold that thought. That one has a completely free fix, and it is coming. Step 3. The check. Here is the whole job, in order. No steps skipped. Kill the power first. Electric heater. Flip its breaker in the panel. It is usually a double one. Gas heater. Turn the control dial to pilot, or to vacation if it has it. You are not working on anything electrical or gas today, but the burner has no business firing while the tank is open. Next, close the cold water inlet. That is the valve on the pipe feeding the top of the tank, often a blue handle on the side marked cold. Now go open a hot tap somewhere in the house, a sink, a tub, and let it run until it sputters and stops surging. That releases the pressure in the tank so nothing spits at you when the rod comes out. Leave that tap open. It is your pressure relief for the whole job. Now find the rod. On most tanks it lives on the top, under a plastic cap. Pop the cap and you will see a hex head sitting flush with the sheet metal, 1 1/16 of an inch across. That is the head of the rod. Some brands hide it instead inside the hot water outlet. So if there is no hex on top, the rod is riding in the hot pipe fitting, and you will need to disconnect that fitting to reach it. Either way, put your socket on it, break it loose. Step 5 covers the fight, and lift the rod straight up and out of the tank, slowly. It may come out ugly, and ugly is information. Now read it the way the trade reads it. A healthy rod is a solid cylinder of gray metal. It can be pitted, chewed, crusty, lumpy. All of that is fine. That is the rod doing its job, taking the corrosion so the tank does not. Do not replace a rod for being ugly. Replace it for being gone. Here's the rule of thumb, and it is the same rule in every service manual. If you can see 6 inches or more of the bare steel core wire, the rod is finished. If the rod is thinner than about 1/2 an inch anywhere along its length, finished. If it is caked solid in a sleeve of white calcium, so thick the metal cannot touch water, finished. Any one of those 3, and the $12 part goes in. And if the old rod looks half-eaten, but still solid, good news. Slide it back in, snug it down, and write the next check on the tank with your marker, 2 years out. The check itself costs nothing but the look. Step 4. The swap, buying first. Magnesium is the standard. Best protection for most water. It is what came in the tank. Aluminum zinc is the answer if you had the rotten egg smell. Protection plus it kills the odor reaction. And before you order anything, measure the clearance above your tank. A standard rod is a rigid stick over 3 feet long, and it has to come straight up and out. If your tank sits under a low ceiling, under ductwork, under a shelf, buy a flexible rod. It comes in short linked segments, folds like a tent pole, and goes into the same hole. They all run between $12 and $40. While you are at the store, grab a roll of Teflon tape if you do not have one. The install is the reverse of the pull. Wrap the threads of the new rod with 3 or 4 turns of Teflon tape, wrapping in the direction the threads turn so it does not peel off as you thread it in. Lower the rod into the hole, start it by hand, gently, straight. Do not force a cross thread. This is the one place in the job where patience is cheaper than parts. Once it is finger tight, snug it with the socket. Firm, confident, not violent. You are sealing a thread, not torquing a wheel. Now open the cold inlet valve and keep that hot tap in the house open until water flows out of it steady and smooth with no spitting. The spitting is air leaving the tank, and you want all of it gone. Close the tap. Check around the hex head on top for any weeping. Dry means done. Power back on. Breaker up or dial back from pilot. 20 minutes, and most of that was waiting on water. And while you are standing right there, one bonus adjustment that costs nothing. Look at the temperature dial. Most tanks leave the factory set at 140 degrees, and most houses never touch it. Turn it to 120. That one turn cuts your water heating bill by 6 to 10% every month from now on. It slows the mineral fallout that builds the sediment layer we talk about in 2 minutes. And it takes your tap water from scalds in 2 seconds down to hot but safe, which matters if there are grandkids around that sink, 120. The trade has known that number for 50 years, and the dial takes 5 seconds. Step 5. The stuck bolt. I promised it would fight, and it will. That hex head has been sitting in heat, steam, and mineral water for years. It is not just tight. It is chemically welded in place by corrosion. People lose this fight every weekend with a 6-inch wrench and good intentions. Here is how the trade wins it. First, leverage. Use a 1/2-inch drive socket on a breaker bar, not a ratchet. If the bar alone will not do it, slide 2 feet of steel pipe over the handle. Long and slow beats short and angry. Second, brace the tank. The whole heater will want to twist with your pull, and a twisting tank is stressing every pipe connected to it. Have somebody hold it, or wrap a cargo strap around the body, or brace your knee against it. Third, and this is the trick, a sharp shock beats a steady pull. Load the bar with pressure, and then hit it. One short, hard shove. Corrosion is brittle. It does not stretch, it cracks. Impact breaks the weld where slow pressure just fights it. If you own an impact wrench, this is the moment it earns its place on the shelf. It will rattle that bolt loose in 3 seconds flat. And if nothing moves at all, do not wrestle it for an hour. A little penetrating oil around the head, 20 minutes of patience for it to creep into the threads, and come back for round 2. There is no shame in round 2. The bolt always loses eventually, and the tank does not care how many rounds it took. Step 6. The noise everyone ignores. If your tank pops, crackles, or rumbles when it heats, like gravel in a kettle, that is not the rod, that is not the burner, and it is not the house settling. That is sediment. Every gallon of water carries a little mineral in it, and every time the tank heats, some of that mineral falls out of the water and settles on the bottom in a layer. Sand, chalk, scale. Water gets trapped underneath that layer. And when the burner fires, that trapped water flashes to steam and pops through the crust. Every pop you hear is heat being wasted, because that sediment blanket sits directly between the flame and the water, and your burner is spending gas heating a layer of rock before any of it reaches your shower. The tank recovers slower, runs longer, and the bill creeps up a few dollars a month, quietly, forever. The fix costs nothing but a Saturday half hour. There is a drain valve at the bottom of the tank. Looks like a small hose bib, because that is what it is. Screw a garden hose onto it, run the other end to a floor drain, a sump pit, or out a window to the yard. Close the cold inlet on top. Open a hot tap upstairs for air, then open that drain valve and let the tank push water out through the hose, and watch what comes with it. The first bucket's worth often runs cloudy, sandy, full of white grit. That is years of sediment leaving your tank. Let it run until the water goes clear. A few gallons usually does it. A badly neglected tank might want more. Close the drain, unscrew the hose, open the cold inlet, let the tank refill with that upstairs tap open until it runs smooth, and you are back in business. One caution, that water comes out hot. Keep the hose end away from feet, pets, and anything that mines boiling water. Do this flush once a year. Write it on the tank next to your dateline, because here is the pairing that explains every 20-year water heater you have ever heard about. A fresh rod plus an annual flush. protected walls, and a clean floor. A tank maintained like that does not die on schedule. It simply refuses. Step 7. When the tank is actually done, I will be straight with you because this part saves you from wasting the $12. A rod cannot resurrect a dead tank. 3 signs the war is over. First, water on the tank body itself. Not a drip at a pipe fitting, not the drain valve seeping, not the relief valve doing its job. The steel shell of the tank wet or streaked with rust tracks. That means the wall has rusted through from the inside, and there is no repair for a rusted wall. Do not study it. Do not wait for it to get worse. It is 40 gallons of water held back by rust, and the next chapter of that story happens on your basement floor. Second, hot water that stays rusty after a new rod and a good flush. If you gave the tank fresh protection and a clean bottom and the tint still will not clear, the rust owns the inside now. You are done. Third, a tank past 15 that has never once been maintained. You can put a rod in it, and I understand the instinct, but you are buying months, not years. Put the money toward the new tank instead. And when that day comes, take one piece of buying advice with you. The piece the sales floor never volunteers. You will see the same size tank offered with a 6-year warranty and a 12-year warranty, $60 or $100 apart. Here is the secret. In most lines, that is the same tank. Same steel, same lining, same burner. The 12-year model has more anode in it, a bigger rod or a second rod in another port. You are not buying a better tank, you are buying more sacrificial metal and a longer promise, which tells you everything about this video if you think about it. The manufacturer's own pricing admits that the rod is the lifespan, so buy whichever one is on sale, and put a rod check on the calendar for year 3 either way. Start the clock right, and the next tank is the last one you buy for 20 years. So let's put the whole thing side by side. The neglect route, the tank dies right on schedule at year 8, the truck comes, and the bill reads $1,500 to $2,500. Do that twice in 20 years, and hot showers have cost you $4,000, plus 2 mornings of cold water and a day off work waiting on the install. The maintenance route, a $12 rod every 4 years or so, a free flush every spring. 5 minutes with a marker and a calendar. Same water, same showers, thousands of dollars apart. And the only difference between those 2 houses is that one of them knows about a piece of metal on a string. Every tank, every furnace, every appliance in your house has a part like this one. Small, cheap, invisible, and carrying the whole machine on its back. I have written all 94 of them into the manual, every part, every price, every step laid out exactly the way I showed you today. The link is under this video. Next time, there is a drip somewhere in your house right now, just a small one, quiet enough that you have stopped hearing it. That little drip is costing you around $340 a year, and it dies in 10 minutes with a $1 part. That is next. I will see you there.